What the hell happened here? Days Gone is definitely a curious case here. I mean, for one, this game has been getting just nothing but flack. I mean, this has been getting horrible reviews, and yet, this game is becoming a massive success. Now, I gotta be honest, when this game was first announced way back when, I mean, like, freaking nearly 3 years ago, I didn't care. This game did not seem that great. It wasn't my cup of... I mean, it did seem like my cup of tea. I like zombie games, but in this sense, it looked like a generic piece of crap. Well, that was back then. About a year ago, when when the final E3 trailers came out, I was pretty much hyped. I mean, it looked freaking fantastic. The gameplay mechanics all, were fleshed out. The freaking hordes, everything looked great. It looked like a lot of fun. I don't know what the hell changed inside of me. I mean, looking back, they were kind of the same things, but I don't know. Just my freaking hype was just there for it. To the point where I actually pre-ordered the collector's edition. So yeah, I was ready, set, go. This game was going to be mine. I was freaking there. But then about a month before release, well, some previews and first impressions started coming out. And all verdict were saying it was good. Not great, but good. And that essentially just started a whole just down spiral for me, in the sense that people were saying it wasn't going to be that great. Oh my god, wait, what the hell is not going to be that great? It's supposed to be a huge title in this freaking Sony lineup. This is supposed to be a great game. And yet, people kept continuing. And this game, it's got a lot of potential. But, there could still be a lot of problems with it. There's some glitches here and there. There's a lot of things that aren't 100% here. And it could be a little bit repetitive. So, I pretty much immediately canceled my collector's edition. And just settled with my standard edition. Which, I had a good deal because I had to sell the Amazon Prime thing. And even then, I was still getting worried. Add on the fact that Sony pretty much made the review embargo pretty much drop the day before release. Which honestly isn't that bad. I mean, the day before release, that's fantastic, whatever. But, if you're a person like me, who pre-ordered the game, usually games get sent out 2 days, or the day before the game, releases. So yeah, having the review embargo pretty much drop the morning of the day before it comes out was really tempting fate, in the sense that you might not have enough time to cancel your pre-order. Thankfully, in my case, my game was sent to me 3 days before, so I had really no choice in just keeping the game. And yeah, the reviews dropped. And they were destroying the game. They were calling it a piece of crap. It was just mixed all around. People were saying, it's a good game. Or, this game's complete garbage, and Sony should be ashamed of themselves. And Ben Studio, what the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, the reviews were going crazy, and I just felt, oh shit, I made a mistake. This game's gonna suck. Oh god. But then I realized, oh wait, those are from the reviewers that I don't really trust. Like IGN or GameSpot or, Kotaku. Thankfully, Easy Allies and, Game Informer, some reviewers I actually do trust, said the game was good. Had some potential, and yes, despite all its faults, does have some great gameplay. And that kind of kept me going to play the game. So my hype was pretty much dwindled out, but I was still excited to play it nonetheless. But yeah, just before I get to the actual game though, just want to point out, despite all the bad reviews, this game you'd expect to, be a bomb, right? I mean, shit. The reviews were freaking scathing. This thing must be a dumpster fire waiting to happen. I mean, Sony was pushing it so freaking hard that this must be a huge bomb. Nope. Not only did this game, or at least from the point of this video, 3 weeks after, not only is it in the 3rd week of its sales, in the UK it's number 1. This is the number 1 game in the UK right now. And in Japan, this game has outsold God of War. In 3 weeks, this game has already pretty much outsold God of War. They came out last year, the game that people would be considering the best PS4 game, and let alone the best game of 2018. So yeah, this game kicked this game's ass. And honestly, when you compare the two games, I mean, it's clear which one's the better game, God of War. It's considered amazing for a reason, and, well, there's no freaking arguments there if you're going to be saying, oh, which one's better? God of War's better. There's no argument. So yeah, let's just get to actually, reviewing this game, and, well, let's focus on its faults first. Now, one of the biggest things that people were complaining about, at least the reviewers in the beginning, were, it's a buggy mess. and after playing it, I can say, it's a buggy mess. Now, despite the game actually having a bunch of patches that actually come out post-release and actually day of release that, ironed out a lot of the glitches that a lot of people were experiencing, at least reviewers were experiencing prior, it was really nice to see that, Bend Studio was actually, stepping up their game and actually trying to fix the game. Yet having said all that, though, it's still kind of a mess. It's not broken, in some cases, but yeah, have they fixed the game? Well, the game still currently has issues with characters disappearing, enemies popping out of thin air, items disappearing, enemies being flung into midair, terribly low frame rate, freezing, button presses not registering, textures not loading, and even game-breaking glitches, which personally I haven't experienced because, I was able to do everything, but there is a certain mission that people have been complaining about that apparently you just can't open a door and you can't actually progress through the mission. Now, I have had experiences, in my first live stream of this game, I actually ran across, this enemy just disappearing. The fact that I couldn't find him, I couldn't complete a mission, so all I did was just, reload my save, and there he was again, and I killed him. But then there's also another instance where the freaking landscape did not load correctly, did not allow me to go into a cave. Now, I tried reloading the save, didn't work. The freaking cave was just blocked off. Now, at this point I thought, oh shit, I had already freaking stumbled upon something that's broken. Thankfully, well, due to my experience with old classic games, I just decided to restart the game. And thankfully everything was just reloaded, everything was fine, and it was all just great. Which begs the question, this game does all of its loading in initial, startup, which is kind of impressive, and also kind of a letdown in the sense that this game has some serious load times. Now, don't get me wrong, these load times aren't, unbearably long. Some other games get even longer than this, but they're still pretty bad in the sense that they're only frequent as if you're playing the actual plot of the game, because between cutscenes, it has to reload the game, and it has to stop, and it has to reload the game. But if you're just playing the game just to go around and just destroy stuff and just, complete, side missions, there's literally no loading. The fact that this game runs as well as it does in the sense that how big the landscape is, yes, GTA 5 is much bigger. But this one actually saves and loads things, and it keeps everything saved on the map. I can confidently just leave something behind and go, I'll come back for it later. Which, I'm not saying it's an excuse for how bad and poor sometimes this game runs, but it's understandable. The fact that this game can actually function while saving all of the stuff around you, even like freaking miles or kilometers away, you're not going to go over there, yet I can confidently know that something's over there and I can always use it if I'm ever in a pinch, is kind of impressive. In a gameplay aspect and also a technical aspect, because that's pretty damn cool. Another issue this game has been told to have is the plot. And I agree also here, in the sense that it is a freaking mess. Now, actual plot points and like character moments, they're all good, and some are actually great, but pacing-wise, it is horrible. So many goddamn plot points, so many goddamn characters, and so much shit just happening, and some stuff that just happened in like the beginning of the game, and you won't even see like a resolution until like the very end, and this whole middle part, there was nothing and no talk about that plot point at all, is very rampant in this game. A lot of stuff just happens, and it could be a benefit, it could also be just like I don't give a shit. And despite how erratic it is, I was never bored, at least plot-wise. A lot of crazy shit was happening, a lot of cool stuff was happening. I was still invested to the point where, when certain things would happen, I was happy. Some things would happen, I would be pissed off. A character dies, hell yes, I was so glad that they freaking died. Or another character dies, like, oh no, I feel sad, like, oh, this person survived, great, oh, that guy survived, like, goddamn, like, it goes, I just had this freaking just a roller coaster of emotions. And despite all this crazy erratic behavior I was going through, like I was going just like, okay, this is just too much for me to handle. I was getting confused. I was never actually bored, which is a plus. Despite this game being, being such a, it's all these plots trying to intertwine together and trying to be like this nice woven just tale. Instead, it's just a bunch of wires that you just left out for a couple of weeks and they just got into shit. But despite all of that, even with like the main plot of the game ending the way it does, I'm not going to spoil anything, it's good. But then once the true ending comes rolling around, again, I went through my whole freaking roller coaster again. Because now I'm 100% in on Days Gone 2. If, Ben Studio, which, I mean, they should. I mean, they're doing pretty much gangbuster sales. They're doing pretty good. If this game has a sequel, the way they freaking... That true ending just hooked me back in. I mean, everything. All the problems, all the issues, all the stupid crap, all the stupid shit that would just happen. That I'm like, why the hell am I supposed to care about this character? Why the hell is that even happening? Doesn't matter, because with that true ending, I'm all in. It's a mess, but it's a mess I'm glad I went through. So yeah, by this point I've actually been just, saying a lot of, bad stuff, and like, trying to, reason, like, this game's not that bad and this stuff, like, yeah, it's kind of like that for the most of it. And, gameplay-wise, it's kind of the same. I mean, repetitive gameplay, some, aspects are not going to be rubbing people the right way. But one thing that 100% works, and I can undeniably just stand behind it wholeheartedly, is the aesthetic of this game. I mean, not only is the Pacific Northwest a perfect freaking setting for a zombie apocalypse, or in this case, Freakers, whatever, Freakers Run, it doesn't matter. But the point I'm trying to make is the aesthetic is fantastic, and going back to like the glitches, the fact that this game runs as well as it does with these amazing visuals, running at 4K and with HDR, kind of goes to show how perfectly the game design was, at least artistically was. Which, another point I want to add on, is the sound design. It's some of the best sound design I've heard in a game by far. I mean, small things like running with a can of gasoline sounds exactly like... I mean, don't ask me why, but I've run with a freaking full tank of gas, and the freaking way it sloshes around, it's exactly what it sounds like in the game. The motorcycle, as loud as, freaking invasive it is, it still works well. The freaking atmosphere, the freaking wolves in the distance, everything about the sound design is perfect. And above all anything, even on top of the aesthetics, or like the actual, like the visuals, one of the best parts of this game is easily the sound design. And, besides that, let's go back to gameplay, the survival aspects and the overall gameplay is still good. I mean, damn good. Now, mind you, I don't know how the reviewers played it, I don't know what mode they played it on, but in my eyes, this game should only be played on the hardest difficulty possible. I mean, just that added layer of tension, and the fact that you don't know if you have enough resources, enough ammo, the fact that you're just scrounging to live, just trying to avoid massive enemies. I mean, the hordes in this game are impressive to say the least. And yes, repetitive-wise, a lot of the gameplay aspects, yeah, you kind of rinse repeat, but the map is littered with a bunch of enemies that are so unpredictable, it just kind of keeps your heart racing in a sense. I mean, the fact that you could be riding around like, oh, you're avoiding a horde over here, and all of a sudden a freaking mountain lion just tackles you off your bike, which pretty much just sets off the freaking horde on you and kills you. Everything is just so crazy, and honestly, I loved every second of it. And on top of that, to enjoy this game even more, I made the game harder for myself. There were certain skills I chose not to learn. When I was boosting up Deacon's stats, I avoided wholeheartedly to boost up my health. I only boosted my stamina and my focus. But yeah, adding these extra difficulties to the game made me enjoy the game even more. So much to the point where I actually platinumed this game. And that honestly doesn't seem like a big deal, but I never platinum games. The only platinum game that I have is essentially this one. I mean, if you've seen my recent videos, at least the ones before this one, I'm in love with this game, and I cannot stop talking about it. I mean, clear indication why I'm pointing it out right now, but this game I freaking love, and is one of my favorite games of all time now. This one's a good game. Damn good, and I see some faults in it. And I platinumed it. Just goes to show how much I enjoyed this thing. I mean, aesthetic-wise, gameplay-wise, everything about it was just good enough for me to give a shit. And all in all, I actually read online some people comparing this game to like a PS2 game. Well, I kind of agree with that. Not in the sense that, it's a broken, or it seems aged like... No. I like the fact that everything in this game I had to earn. Every single gameplay mechanic, every single thing made it hard for me to actually, just persevere, but at the same time was fun enough for me to keep going and going and going. And the fact that, again, the true ending was just a treat. Not the fact that, like, oh, it's a great, thing to get me hyped for the sequel. No. The fact this game even has a true ending in the first place was cool. A bunch of classic games had that thing. You had to play the game over and over again to get like a true ending or a special ending. This is the kind of stuff that only nowadays exists in DLC. So content-wise, this thing is chock full. So yeah, all in all, move on to my final thoughts, I guess. What the hell is this thing? It has a lot of faults, it has a lot of problems. I mean, this game can be considered broken by many standards. And yet I couldn't stop playing. It's a hell of a game, and while people on the internet are blindly hating it, they're calling it a piece of shit, and people are just saying, oh, this game is horrible, do not play it. While people who've actually played it are saying, yeah, this game's good, I like this game. Whether you fall in love with the gameplay, the aesthetic, or even the characters, no matter how crazy the freaking story plot and like just the pacing is horrible. I just really stress that the pacing is horrible. Goes to show that this game is on its way to become a modern cult classic, which it's odd because it's selling very well, but cult classic in the sense that it's getting bad reviews. Still, to this moment, people are still like reviewing the game and calling it, oh, this game's horrible. And it has a lot of people split down the middle. Mixed reviews, tons of blind hate, and a launch that would have taken down any other game. And yet, this game fought all of that off and is on its way to becoming a cult classic. Well, that's the review. And usually with these videos I like to go like, oh yeah, is this game worth the money? And I retail see like, I mean, content-wise, yes, this game is worth the money, and if you like it, it's you know, really good content-wise, but I cannot in all good faith recommend this to everyone. I mean, this game is not like, you know, God of War, where if you own a PS4, you gotta own this right now. It's a must-have title, right? Like, no, none of that shit. This is not God of War. But if you're a fan of games like Alan Wake, I could recommend this wholeheartedly. And if anything, you might end up loving this game as much as I did. Yes, this game has problems. I've already talked about all the problems, but among all the crap, there lies a golden gem in here. And sales-wise, and hell, even word of mouth, are kind of proving my point. I mean, this is essentially becoming a cult classic. It's weird because... Just another side thing I didn't even mention in the video earlier, but this game released the same time, at least the same day as Avengers Endgame. Now, yes, that's a movie, this is a game, you shouldn't compare the two, but pop culture-wise, that should split people's, like, you know, attention and money. Yet people still are buying this game, and Avengers is now one of the freaking #1 box office movies ever made. It's really weird. And, yeah, I really enjoy this game. And before anyone starts to say, oh yeah, you know, you're just a PlayStation fanboy, I mean, you just like anything that Sony publishes, and screw that notion, because hell no. Another game that's very similar to this in the sense that, like, you know, how it was being pushed by freaking Sony so much, was Bravo Team. It was being heralded as being the best game on the PSVR, and that game was a piece of shit. Just because Sony publishes it does not make it a good game. They publish something like shitty, like a shitty game like Bravo Team, I don't care. If it's a bad game, it's a bad game. This, at least in my eyes, is nowhere near a bad game. Flawed, yes, but really enjoyable. I'm honestly surprised. But yeah, regardless, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Actually, before I go, I just want to mention one last thing. There's a rumor going around this might have been Last of Us 2. I don't know how honest, or how the validity of that rumor could, you know, how far it could go, but the fact that now Bend Studio has not made a game since, like, at least an original game since, like, Siphon Filter. They also made something between this and that, though. It was on the PS Vita, and it was also a Naughty Dog game, or at least a sequel. Uncharted Golden Abyss for the PS Vita was originally supposed to be a Naughty Dog game, but then it was passed on to Bend Studio. So, it's kind of weird to think that maybe in an alternate universe, this may have been Last of Us 2. Compared to Last of Us, it's a disappointment. But as its own game, especially a brand new IP, this is pretty cool. Yeah.